Okay, now it's time to discuss a few methods and styles of egg bags. Now, years ago there was the chicken egg bag, which became very popular, especially with children's shows where an egg goes in, vanishes, and eventually at the end of the routine the egg bag gets turned inside out and the egg takes on a facsimile of a chicken, apparently for comedy purposes. Also during the 1940s and 50s, Sam Berland came out with his tipsy bag, where an egg would go in and out of the bag, vanish a few times, and along the way you produce little shot glasses of apparently whiskey, and then a glass of wine, and then a glass of beer. Very nice, but I think it muddles up the effect. I've always gotten great reaction out of just an egg and just a bag, and that's what we're going to focus on today, the basic routine. Now, if you notice in front of the table here, we have a number of egg bags that I've used over the years. Actually, I've never really used this one. This one, for a number of reasons, is really ugly. But this type of egg bag was very popular because the slit in the bag, where the egg is always hidden, was well hidden because of the deceptive nature of the tartan fabric. So you really couldn't see that little slit in the bag. Now, over the years, people have made slits near the top, in the middle, near the bottom, off to one side, sometimes the entire length of the bag. Now, again, these are different methods that have been done. Also, these bags were always very bulky. I mean, to hide something in this is not, like an egg, is not really that impressive because of the thickness of the wool and etc. So I never really used this one, never really cared for this type of a bag. Of course, the Malini style bag is the most favorite and really is the method for the Hobson egg bag. But the Hobson egg bag goes much further than this. Now, let me explain. Now, these are a couple of Malini style bags that are available now. And there's always one thing in common with the Malini style bag, and that is that it's always made out of a very thin material, which is fine if you're doing the Malini Ken Brook, Charlie Miller routine. The only problem with it that I have is that these thin egg bags, these thin materials, when you put an egg inside, and here I'll show you this, if you were to put an egg inside of one of these bags, you drop it down, it makes a very distinct bulge here. I don't care how light that egg is, when you place an egg in the bag, you can see where that egg is at. And believe you me, I've been in the audience many times because that's part of the routine that I'll be teaching you. I go into the audience and I leave a lady up on stage, and all of the time, every time that I would do this with a regular Malini style bag, people would whisper, "Oh, I see the egg, I see the bulge in the bag." The main flaw in almost all Malini bags right now, they're made of very thin material. But of course it works if you're doing that type of routine. Also, one other thing with these bags is that the latest Malini style bags are always much longer than they are wide. Now, there's a problem in that inherently, and I'll show you what this is. If you have an egg inside of the pocket and you're trying to hide it, and you have both hands inside the bag like this, and you turn inside out, or you say go down inside that bag and turn it inside out, and you have your assistant do it, there's not a whole lot of room for a hand to go down while you're holding that bag. I'm not sure why they didn't make it like this, which is wider. So what I did is I started making my own bags, and I made the bag wider than it is long, than it is deep. So now you'll find that even though you're hiding the egg in the bag with your hands on each side, there's plenty of room for a hand to go down there. Even a man's hand can fit in that area and check out the bag, turn it inside out if they wish. So I started making egg bags in that side, much wider than they are deep. Now I came across and designed finally the Hobson egg bag for a number of reasons. The egg bags that I was designing, even though they were wider than they were deeper, they also were still of thin fabric. But I didn't want to go the thick fabric of the old Scottish bags. So I found a very high grade of silk. And what that means is that the silk is a stiffer material. It'll keep a shape. In other words, if you do this, it'll keep that sort of puffed shape. That makes it very important because now if an egg is thrown in there, it's very hard to see at all, and you really can't tell If the egg's at one side or if the egg's at the other, if the egg is rolled up this way or whatever, it keeps its shape. That's a very important point to the success of the Hobson egg bag. A couple other points. We have rounded corners. Most other egg bags have very sharp corners, which makes it harder to turn fully inside out without poking your fingers in the corners like that. So we've alleviated that. The weight of the material, again, with it being silk, is very light. The inside is a very, very thin nylon. So you still get the slide of the egg inside the Hobson egg bag going back and forth as you would a Mellini egg bag. But the stiffness of that fabric, that very fine silken fabric, keeps everything puffed out just the way you need it. Very important for a number of moves coming up. Also, one thing that I found is very important, and only a few other egg bags have ever done this, and that is making the egg bag two-tone. Now, usually I don't like black, because first of all, black is way overdone, and most Mellini bags are made in black. Black on stage is horrible. It blends into just about everything. The background, it gets lost on stage. There's no reason to use black. You want everything on stage to pop. So that's why I've chosen red as the overall best color for an egg bag. And again, there's two tones for a reason. The inside's black, because the Mellini method, if you have an egg at the bottom of that bag in the pocket and you don't want your assistant to see it, black is the perfect color because it hides the egg inside of the pocket. Now, when you turn the egg inside out, you can tell that the bag is turned inside out. If the bag is only one color, it's very hard to distinguish what's inside out and what's not. So with all of these advantages, with the silk, the weight, the stiffness, the two-tone color, the cut corners, keeping the Mellini bag, the Mellini method intact, we have the Hobson egg bag, in my opinion, the best bag that you can get to do my routine, which actually you'll need the egg bag, this very same egg bag, to do the routine I'm going to show you. Now for the eggs, over the years, of course, there's been different types of eggs. There's been these wooden heavy eggs, which are great for using with this awful tartan bag. You don't want to do that. I've used a golf ball, a light golf ball, which is great for golf shows. And over the years, in craft stores, you could get some plastic eggs, and they used to be good. I've searched everywhere around the world for just the right fake egg. It had to be light. It couldn't just squish. Believe me, I've had people, when they reach inside the bag and I say, is the egg solid? They say, sure, let me find out. And they just squish it like this. For those people that use a blown egg, I've had people, I've used it myself, had the egg just sort of crumble in my fingertips. Even if you put the plaster on the inside and reinforce a blown egg, doesn't matter. I've had those crushed too. If you get the cheap plastic eggs, the problem with those is that the cheapness has sort of a petroleum feel, a waxy feel to them, and that's not good either because that drags on the fabric. No good. So I actually designed an egg, had it made. It's very tough. It's resin. It's one piece. It's light. You could throw this thing across a freeway. Nothing's going to happen. And it's the most perfect egg that I found. So I call it the Hobson Perfect Egg for the egg bag. So I think you'll have, between the egg, the Hobson egg bag, the perfect tools you'll need to perform this masterpiece.